Hello, let's continue to the SAP purchasing module and the sales module. In these two modules, we did something similar in the beginning, created the business partner master data. And we assign the general business partner number or code in the beginning of the transactions. The business partner is kind of a new function under the SAP HANA S4. So business partner can be a person or organization and it can be external or internal to the business. And they can take different roles depending on their relationship with the company. It can be a vendor, can be a customer, or even can be a employee sometime. Business partner has three levels of data. So complete three levels of data depending on the situations. The first level of data, which normally we did in the beginning, is we call general data. So once you started on the business partner, like FI new vendor or FI new customer, you will be prompted to enter the general data like the name, address, the language preferred, and contact persons. This data will be relatively permanent. As long as we have this partner in our system, so we have this data in one piece of data in all of the functions. And then the second level of data we call company code data. And this group of data are closely linked to the financial accounting module, especially the reconciliation account, accounts receivables or accounts payables. In this level of data, we assign another code to the business partner, right? Like the vendor code or customer code. So this is like a second level of code under your general business partner number. And under FI vendor, so we link the reconciliation account that's normally accounts payable, the payment method, and the payment terms. And you remember the 1140, right? So with your company code. And for the customer role, we'll assign the accounts receivables. Okay, be careful, it's receivables and also the payment terms and some other things related to the customer roles. And you assign another customer code to the business partner. And the third level of data is unique depending on you are a vendor or customer. And that's the time, remember when I let you to save the data, right? Before you save the data, you change the role of the BP, the business partner, from the FI to like a vendor accounting or like a customer like a role. So that's the time we switch the role before we save the data. So once you switch the role and save the data, you can put the role specific type of data for purchasing or sales distribution or even credit management. So that's like the some of you kind of like not really mistake, right? That's the confusing part or tricky part when we switch the role. For the vendor, we put the purchasing related data. We put I remember like where you are going to, how you are going to receiving or like receiving the inventory. For sales distributions, we put in the shipping point and lots of like credit management, right? So we assign the credit limit for the customers. So that's all special role levels. If you have a service, like a service vendor, right? Like the one we used for the cardinal properties. So if the vendor only offers service rather than purchasing, we don't need the third level of data. So you only require to input the general data and the company code data. So That's kind of so BP is a little bit hard okay, in the beginning, but after you get used to it, you really understand this is a big improvement compared to the prior version of the SAP, because the general data will save us lots of the time and the data space on maintaining the data in the future. And for the same business partner, you can assign and change their roles depending on the way they do business with us. And then some other like the number range, right? So that's like something you need to be careful. So after we're going over the business partner, then let's look for the purchasing related transactions with the accounts payables. So purchasing, we simulate of this one. Okay. So for the purchase to pay or procurement, in the beginning, we created two master data, the material master data and the vendor master data. The material is the physical helmets. So it's a trading goods because the bicycle company, we majorly make and sell bicycles, but we also purchase and sell the bike accessories. So the helmets is one of them. In the material master data, we have different views. If you recall, I think there is a long list, right? So we select the ones we need under the purchasing and the sales. And there are also views related to production, warehouse management. We haven't used it in our modules, but if you have opportunity to work for other roles, you may use them later. And then we combine, so bundle the material and the vendor together and form a document or like a paperwork, the info record. So this info record, we putting this material and this vendor together. So before you move to the purchase requisition. So requisition is an internal request. So once they see the level of the inventory is down, right, to a lower level, like the reorder point. So we put a purchase requisition after it is approved, then you can transfer to the purchasing people and create the formal purchase order. So the purchase order is the document we send to the vendor, right? It's the external, so not only for internal. So we send one copy to the vendor. So like this is your formal purchasing request. And also we keep copies inside the company or with the procurement and send the copies to the warehouse and accounts payable people so they can check the documents later with the invoices, with the shipment, and for payment purpose. So purchase order is a very important document in the purchasing process. So after that, you have opportunities to change or update the order, right? Even cancel. We all have this experience, right? So once you buy something, even online, they sometimes offer you a 1 hour window or 24-hour window to update your order or cancel the order before they prepare for shipment. After they start to prepare shipment, the order cannot be changed. Okay, but in our practice, we didn't do the order update. We directly create the receiving, like receipt of the inventory from the vendor, right? So simulating receiving and checking all of the quantities or qualities. So after the warehouse checking and confirm the receiving, so we have a receiving document. And then further, we process the invoice. Okay, invoice. So we have good receipt and then invoice receipt. Right, we did both of these two steps in our practice. So GR means good receipt and IR means invoice receipt. When we receive all of the documentations, you need to compare the goods receipt and the invoice with the purchase order, right? So before you make payments and or reject the delivery, that's all of the receiving transactions. And if everything goes well, right, so no receipt issue, the invoice is correct, then we'll move the invoice to the accounts payable team and they can make the payments. Okay, that's the last step to make payments. And in reality, you can make partial payments, right? So if you, but in our practice, we pay the full amount for 1,500. So all the invoices are cleared. If you didn't make full payments, or if you reject some of the shipment, the payments will be different. Okay, that's all the things you can experience in the real operations. And here is a further summary with a focus on the accounts payable, the reconciliation account. So once we confirm the invoice under the subledger of the BP, right, the business partner, but in the role of the vendor. So first we put a credit. So that's accounts payable. Credit means increase. And once we make the payments, we write off the accounts payable on the debit side. So the accounts payable is cleared out. Also, the vendor account is cleared out. I didn't really ask you to do the checking, but if you have opportunity to do some of the checking account, you can see the vendor and accounts payable is updated with all of the transactions incurred with the accounts payable flows. For the sales transactions, these are the summary for the main activities or steps in the sales procedure. For master data, we talk about the customer master data already, so under the business partner role. Then the product, like the helmets, the material we are trying to sell. So when we create the master data here, we are not really creating a brand new material, but we call extend, right? So extend the material we created in the purchasing process, but now we created the sales modules, or they call the views of the three sales functions. In the three views, we entered the sales price, right? So for the purchasing, they couldn't do the sales related data. So only the marketing and the sales people can add the views to the existing helmets. So we add the related sales data, like the sales organization, shipping point, loading point, and so all of the sales related functions, right? So you are adding this to the existing database for the material. And we didn't really cover the pre-sale activities, right? That's before you receive a formal sales order. Because sometimes negotiations or contacting may not leading to a real sales. But we are simulating after, we can create a real sales order, right? So step 7 in the sales package. Sales order is the critical point, critical document in the sales process. In the sales order, we are going to list, right, who is the customer. Yeah. So who is the customer and what inventory or what products we are selling and how many units. As long as you can call the correct inventory, you don't need to really put the price because the price is already included by the material. So as long as you can input the quantities, the sales price will be calculated automatically, right? So the total sales revenue. But you need to really put the other shipping information. I remember we have like the storage location. If you miss the storage location here, you couldn't save the sales order or you have problem during the delivery stage. So sales order. So after the sales order, we create the outbound delivery, right? So it's like you are picking your own delivery team or picking the third party delivers. UPS or FedEx. So create a outbound delivery, right? So it's like an internal document. And after you send this outbound delivery to the warehouse, we simulate the warehouse picking up, right? Remember the step after the outbound delivery, we need to pick the inventory and post. So if you don't do the pick and post, you couldn't move forward to the billing stage or the invoicing. And so outbound delivery that's created normally by the salespeople is like informing, right? So send the document to the warehouse, and warehouse will pick the inventory and post. So means they will do the actual shipment. And once the inventory leaves the company, so it's on transit to the customers, we can send the invoice or billing to the customer. So that's the time we evoke the accounts receivable and the sales revenue. So after the post of the inventory, you recognize the cost of goods sold and inventory. And after the billing, we recognize the receivable, so debit account receivable and credit the sales revenue. And eventually, after we make collection from the customer, you debit the cash and credit the account receivable to settle the payments. Right, so that's the last step. And here is a more detailed summary with a focus on the account receivable side. Right, so the reconciliation will come again, but from the receivable perspective. So after we finish the 3 SAP modules, you can check, that's like the way I told you that how I can grade. I will pull all of your account balances, right? So pull the account balances so I can tell, have you completed all of the transactions or not? If you don't, then I need to go back to see each of the individual account and where you stopped. Okay, maybe under the purchase order or delivery, but no accounting document. Okay, so it kind of like give me the idea where to find where you parked, right? So which step you got problems. You also can generate the financial statement. So let me quickly share stop this. But let me quickly open. To open the SAP system, so let you see how the financial statement look like after you complete all of the modules. So now you can see I log into the SAP as the system admin, okay, as my faculty account. So this is the way I grade, like this is the way I can check all of your account balances. But here I'm trying to show you the financial statement. So you go to under accounting, financial accounting, and then general ledger, but information system or general ledger reports, financial statements, general, actual. So financial statement. I'm using the chart of accounts of GL, so let's use any one of you. Okay, I'm using like 16. And the financial statement version, I remember I can use the BAUS. Yeah, USA. Okay, because each country they have different versions. I'm using the United States version of the financial statement. And the comparison year is 2023, even we have no data. And I'm using the classical list. Okay, you can choose different layout and execute. So now you can see this is a brief summary. They didn't really separate the balance sheet account and the income statement, but as accountants, we can easily tell. And right now, our bank account, the main bank account, we have a negative, be careful, okay, negative 5,500. That's no wrong because we didn't input money, right? So we only use it. So the main bank account, we have a negative 5,500. But the new bank account, right? So the new bank account we created for paying the rentals. You have 5,000 initially, you got 5,000, but you paid 1,500. So the correct balance is 3,500 positive, okay, positive for the new bank account. Then the inventory, the helmets, we have 900 left over because we bought 50 units and you sold 20 units. Now we have 30 units with $30 unit price. So inventory is 900. And then the sales revenue is 1,000. So like this, the minus means credit balance. So sales revenue credit means actually positive. But rental expense, we have 1,500 and the cost of goods sold for the helmets is 600. So if we only have this sales and expense and the cost, it's like we are losing money, right? So like we are losing 1,100, right? So revenue less than the cost and expense by 1,100. And that's corresponding to the overall balance on our the balance sheet is a negative 1,100. Be careful, this is impossible in real business, okay, because we are only doing simulations. Our cost and expense is over than the revenues. But just to let you know the system and how is easily to manage your accounting system with the ERP or integrated. So I hope you really watch the video to the end. And that's really help you not only dealing with the financial exam, as also help you understand later for your other, the future accounting courses, even your general business courses, and more useful when you really work in a real company, okay, to get really know the system and the data parts.